Hi, guys. So today I'm going to talk about fertility readings. And some tarot readers don't like to do them, some will do them. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about how I do them, and I'm going to give some recommendations. Now, when I do fertility readings, what I have found is the Osho Zen deck is a real good fertility reader. It's got a lot of imagery in it and a lot of cards that are real good as far as predicting pregnancy and birth. Sadly, it even can show things for miscarriages and so forth too. But it definitely can point to pregnancies and tell a little bit about how things are going to go. So I'm going to talk about some of the cards in it. But before I do, fertility reads are a very sensitive type of subject. You want to be careful which ones you take on. It's not something you necessarily want to give bad news on. Like if you're in a situation where you're like, I don't feel this person can ever get pregnant, you know, that could be a challenge. And of course, I know as a reader, spirit works miracles, okay? But that's not necessarily something you want to say to somebody who really wants a baby. It's just you got to be really careful with that because this is their dream. And I even have a card for that to represent that. This is the card, the dream in Osho Zen. So they've got a dream of a family and child and everything. As you can kind of see, it's kind of somber. This can show up in fertility readings as well, for the dream. And when I see that, sometimes the dream is not going to go exactly as planned. Now, it doesn't mean it's impossible for a pregnancy, but it could mean I have to do fertility treatments, or even I may have to adopt to have a child. So that is one, just talked about that one. Now, another thing I really like about this deck, if you start doing the reading, because like I said, fertility reading is a sensitive subject. Not all reads should be relayed. But if there is a card called silence, it's the moon and it says silence. And I have found if I'm in the middle of doing a read for fertility, if I see that card, that's like spirit saying, shut up. Okay. Spirit is saying, no, this is not the time to do this reading. So that's been my indicator. I don't see it very often, but it seems like when I have started exploring into a fertility read, that card will come up for me. And I've always got that feeling that means just keep this to yourself. This read should not be done. Now, I want to talk about what are the clues. And this is the reason why I like the deck. For one, it has flowering. As you can see, the flowering card, she's just beginning, she's ready. She's beginning to be pregnant. The flowering card is excellent. I also have the Empress, which is the creativity card. And we know the Empress is especially about pregnancy and, she gives birth to the world really, but she also can be represented as a pregnant person. But also, if you're doing a pregnancy read and maybe it's taken a little while and they're like, will I ever get pregnant? And it's been some time. The patience card clearly shows a pregnant woman. So, but it is the patience card. So in due time, the pregnancy will happen. So when you see the flowering card, that's pretty good that they're ripe and ready to do it. If you see the creativity card, which is the Empress, same thing, very similar. And that is even a major arcana as well. But this one, it may take a little longer. Inevitably, it's going to happen, but they may have to wait a little bit. Hence why it's called patience. Now, another thing, the body could be recovering. You may get the healing card. So if there was a miscarriage or anything like that, you may get the healing card. But another one, which is a good indicator, is the ripeness card. So the body is getting ripe and ready to be able to conceive. Now, another card in it is postponement. And if you've ever read fertility readings for people, they want to get pregnant right now. And it's like each month goes by. So I have found when the postponement card comes, it doesn't mean a pregnancy will not happen. It just means for whatever reason, the body is having a delay and it's taking some time. So you can let the person know if you're doing the reading, it doesn't mean a pregnancy will not happen. It just means it's going to take some time. Now, to get into the trickier section. This card does have the nothingness card. So if you're comfortable doing the reading in this way, this normally for me depicts an empty womb. This is one of the reasons very often I see silence next to it, because if there's a situation where someone's pregnant and this card shows up, you may want to go to the silence card because you may not want to relay that info. As you can see, you're getting into a very bad situation. But if it's showing in the past position, that could be your indicator that they may have had a loss. The womb emptied itself. But the nothingness card, if you're saying, okay, I'm going to read up to 6 months, and you get the nothingness cards, that pretty much means you're not going to have a pregnancy then. But if you go a little further and you read up to a year, you may find, okay, now a pregnancy is starting to show. For those who've had miscarriages, I have found this one seems to stand out. This is the outsider, and it looks like he's kind of locked out, a little one, and there's a rainbow around them. So I find I can see this in miscarriages, or if there is a delay as far as getting pregnant and so forth to get to a live birth. But this is what I really like about Osho. Then I get the adventure card, and then you can see the little one is free of the gate, and they're ready to enter the world, the adventure card, and they're surrounded by rainbow light. So this is a real good indicator, not only that the child is coming, but this can show, especially for rainbow babies. So if a woman had a miscarriage, if there was something like this, or they had an empty womb and there was, for some reason, a delay with the outsider card, this is a real good indicator that the soul is going to come. Another one, which is a good indicator, will I ever have kids and so forth, we have the playfulness card. And I know it looks like a little clown, but it's also the playfulness card, which is what children do. So that's a good indicator. Yes, you will have a child. Get ready for a lot of playtime. Now, another one, if they had, hopefully this is in the past position, but the Thunderbolt card can be symbolic. It's also the Tower. It can be symbolic of a miscarriage in past, as well as the Transformation card, which is death. Now, dealing with a loss of a miscarriage, this card can show up as well, which is the guilt card, which you definitely want to let them know it is not your fault. These things happen. But there are many mothers who have suffered a miscarriage that they can feel like, I did something wrong, this and that. I've seen this come up many times, and we definitely want to get them into the healing part of the read, and, especially the body healing, but also the spirit needs to heal as well. But especially the main one, if you want to know if they are actually going to bring this little one into the world, is the celebration card. And I have done many reads where this is my outcome card. This is a celebration card, so it could be celebrating a birth, is especially if you're reading fertility. If you see this, there will be a live birth. So it's a real good indicator. This is a very sensitive kind of subject. And it's a real dear to my heart. I mean, there are some times I have backed out of reads because I do know spirit does miracles. I have to remember that. I know spirit can do miracles. So they can totally blindside us and something really great can happen. And through pregnancies, they love to do miracles. So I don't want to bring down anyone with a fertility read. So that's one of the things. But obviously, a fertility read can be incredibly positive for somebody who has been struggling, to give them hope and show, yes, I do see a live birth is going to happen. I've got the celebration card. Or yes, your rainbow baby is on the way. They are going to come. I see them. So, and sometimes there is just postponement. Sometimes it's just going to take some time. But especially if you're seeing your pregnant ladies in any way, shape, or form, with this deck, this is a good indicator there will be a pregnancy. But especially to have the pregnant ladies combined with the celebration card is very, very promising. So just the main thing is to use great care. This is a very delicate type of read. And there are a lot of readers that don't even touch it. They don't want to do it because they understand, and I don't blame them. For me, like in the group, I do have spiritually intuitive readings. If you're not on my group on Facebook, you can find me there. But with a situation like this, there are sometimes I just, it's best. I see that silence card and I just keep it to myself what I'm seeing. But especially if you can and you're in a position where you can let someone know and give them hope, you definitely want to do that. So that gives them something to look forward to. But as you can see, there's some really good cards in this deck. You can use traditional tarot, of course. Ace of Pentacles is real good for conception. The Page of Pentacles, the announcement of a pregnancy, is really good. And obviously the Empress for your pregnant lady. And then, of course, the Three of Cups to signify a birth. So those are all really good cards, to show a pregnancy. Also, if you want to have fun and try to predict gender, I'm not going to say it always works. It doesn't always work for me. I have a hard one with this. But the Knights can especially be a boy, and the Pages can be a girl. But hope you enjoyed my tips. And if you really want to get into fertility reads, this is the deck to go with.